13 months. That's it. That's what the average American gets. 13 months of healthy, active, go anywhere, do anything retirement before their bodies start saying, nah, we're done. 13 months after 40 years of working. And I know what you're thinking right now. That can't be right. There's no way. I've been saving, planning, running numbers, and you're telling me I might only get 13 months of the good part? Yeah, I am. And the number behind it is a general moment. And the number behind it is going to change how you look at every single retirement decision you make from this point forward. 66.1. That number is not a withdrawal rate. It's not a portfolio target. It's not a Social Security break-even. It's the age, the exact age when the average American's health starts falling apart. And when you line that up against the average retirement age of 65, the math is brutal. You retire at 65. Your health goes sideways at 66.1. That's 13 months in between. One summer, one fall, one winter, one spring. And then the hiking gets harder, the long flights get painful, and the bucket list you spent 40 years building starts collecting dust instead of stamps. My name's Charles, and this is the retirement conversation most people don't have until it's too late. Real quick, educational content, not financial advice. I'm not a licensed advisor. Always work with a qualified professional for your specific situation. If this kind of no BS retirement talk is what you've been looking for, hit subscribe right now. We're building something here, a community that deals with the real numbers, not the fairy tale version. And drop a comment below. What age are you planning to retire? Be dead honest. Because I guarantee by the end of this video, that number is going to shift for at least some of you. Eyes away. Now here's what really got me when I first dug into this. The World Health Organization collects something called Healthy Life Expectancy data from countries all over the world. And this is important. This isn't how long you live. It's how long you live well. How long before a serious health issue walks through the door and starts limiting what you can do, where you can go, how you move through the world. This is the number that determines the quality of your retirement, not just the length of it. And they put it all into a chart, country by country, side by side. And, well, the picture it paints for Americans is, not great. Actually, let me just be real with you, it's bad. It's really bad. Number 1 on the list, the country where people stay healthy the longest, is Japan, 74.1 years. The average Japanese person can expect to live in good health until almost 75. Think about that, 75 years old and still going strong. Number 2 is Singapore, 73.6. Number 3, South Korea, 73.1. Switzerland at 72.5. Cyprus and Israel both sitting at 72.4. Spain, 72.1. France, 72.1. Iceland at 72. Italy at 71.9. Now you're scrolling down that list in your head, right? You're thinking, okay, United States, we gotta be next. We're the wealthiest country on the planet. We spend more on healthcare than anyone. Surely, we're right there at 71, 70, somewhere in that range. The United States comes in at 66.1. Not 71, not 69, not even 68. 66.1. We are nearly 8 full years behind Japan. 8 years of healthy living that the average Japanese person gets to enjoy and the average American just doesn't. That's not a gap. That's a canyon. And nobody, I mean nobody, is talking about this in the retirement planning conversation. Let me put this in terms that actually hit home. The average Japanese person retires and gets almost 10 years of healthy, active, go-anywhere retirement. The average American gets 13 months. 10 years versus 13 months. Same planet, same species. Completely different retirement experience. And here's what makes my blood boil about this, We spend more on healthcare per person than any country on that entire list. More than Japan, more than Switzerland, more than all of them. And we're getting the worst healthy outcome of the bunch. We're paying champagne prices for tap water results. And it's showing up exactly where it hurts most, in the years that were supposed to be the reward for everything you sacrificed. Comment below right now. Did you know the U.S. healthy life expectancy was 66.1? Because I've asked hundreds of people, and almost nobody has ever heard this number. And once you hear it, you see, you can't unhear it. It sits in the back of your brain every time you think about your retirement timeline. And if that number alone doesn't have your attention, hold on, because what I'm about to show you next makes it worse. Way worse. See, it's not just that we lose our health earlier than almost every other developed country. That alone would be bad enough. But here's the thing that turns bad into devastating. We're also retiring later than we used to, at the exact same time. Those two lines are moving in opposite directions. Health is getting worse. Retirement is getting later. And the window between the two, the window that's supposed to be the best years of your life, is getting crushed from both sides. And the data on this, it's not subtle. It's pretty stark. Gallup tracks retirement rates across every age group, and the trend lines look like somebody designed them to be as depressing as possible. Right now, only 6% of Americans aged 50 to 54 are retired. 6. And a lot of those people didn't retire on their terms. They got laid off. They had health crises, caregiving situations that forced them out. 55 to 59, only 11% retired. And here's what gets me about that number. As recently as 2007, that's not ancient history, that's less than 20 years ago, almost 20% of 55 to 59-year-olds were retired. 20%. That number got cut nearly in half. In less than 2 decades, 60 to 64, 32% retired, used to be 41%, gone. Just gone. See, it's not just that we lose our health earlier than almost every other developed country. That alone would be bad enough. But here's the thing that turns bad into devastating. We're also retiring later than we used to, at the exact same time. Those two lines are moving in opposite directions. Health is getting worse, retirement is getting later. And the window between the two, the window that's supposed to be the best years of your life, is getting crushed from both sides. And the data on this, it's not subtle. It's pretty stark. Gallup tracks retirement rates across every age group, and the trend lines look like somebody designed them to be as depressing as possible. Right now, only 6% of Americans aged 50 to 54 are retired. 6. And a lot of those people didn't retire on their terms. They got laid off, they had health crises, caregiving situations that forced them out. 55 to 59, only 11% retired. And here's what gets me about that number, As recently as 2007, that's not ancient history, that's less than 20 years ago. Almost 20% of 55 to 59-year-olds were retired. 20%. That number got cut nearly in half. In less than 2 decades. 60 to 64, 32%, retired. Used to be 41%, gone. Just gone. But here's where it gets wild, right? 65 to 69 years old, nearly a third of Americans in that age bracket are still working. Colin Bale comes out right for everyone. Still at the desk, still on the clock, still grinding. At an age when, statistically, their healthy active time is already running on fumes. And 70 to 74, 17% still working. 75 and up, 12%. 12% of Americans over 75 are still punching in somewhere. You see what's happening here, right? People aren't working past 65 because they love their jobs. Come on, be real. They're working later because they feel like they have to, because the plan isn't ready, because the number isn't there yet. Because there's always one more year, one more bonus, one more reason to push it just a little further. And meanwhile, while they're sitting in that cubicle telling themselves, next year for sure, the healthy years are going by. The go-go years. The years they were actually going to do the stuff. Those years don't wait for your 401k to hit a certain number. They leave on schedule, whether you're ready or not. I want you to sit with something for a second. And I mean really sit with it. Don't let this one slide past you. Retiring at 65 in America, with a healthy life expectancy of 66.1, means you are building your entire retirement plan around the assumption that you'll have decades of healthy, active time waiting for you on the other side. But the data says the average American gets 13 months. 13 months is not a retirement. 13 months is a long vacation. And you don't spend 40 years working for a vacation. Drop a comment and tell me honestly, are you still planning around 65 as your magic number? Because if you are, and you haven't looked at these numbers until right now, you need to keep watching. Alright, so what do you actually do with all this? Because I'm not the kind of guy who drops a scary stat and walks away. There are 3 real, concrete things you can do, starting today, not someday, that directly attack this problem. Number 1. You need to invest in your health like it's the most valuable asset you own. Because it is. It literally is. And I don't mean that in the motivational poster sense. I mean it in the cold, hard, financial, math sense. Think about it like this. Money can be rebuilt. If the market crashes, you wait it out, you recover over time. If an investment tanks, there are other investments. But you cannot go back and reclaim the healthy years you lost. You cannot invest your way back to a body that could have hiked the Grand Canyon at 65 but didn't make it because you spent your 40s and 50s putting your health last on the list every single time. Your health is your retirement plan. Full stop. More than your 401k, more than your IRA, more than your Social Security strategy. Because here's the truth that nobody in finance wants to say out loud. If your body breaks down before the money runs out, the money does not matter. $2 million in an account means nothing if you can't get off the couch. And the way to push that 66.1 number, your personal version of it, as far out as humanly possible is to treat your body with the same discipline, the same consistency, the same long-term thinking you've been applying to your investment portfolio for 30 years. That means the food, you know? Not perfection, just intention. Real food more often than processed food. Cooking at home more than hitting the drive-thru. It means cardiovascular movement a couple times a week. Walking, swimming, cycling, whatever you'll actually do consistently. And here's the one that most people over 50 completely sleep on. Maintaining your muscle mass. Muscle mass is directly connected to mobility, energy, balance, and independence. You don't need to look like anything specific. You just need to fight the natural muscle loss that happens after 40. That fight buys you years, real years. And the time to start is not when you retire. The time is now, right now, today. The second thing is the financial piece. And I'm going to give this to you straight, no fluff. You need to build a real plan around retiring earlier than 65. Not wishing for it, not hoping it works out. Actually sitting down and asking the question, what would it genuinely take for us to retire at 60, or 58, or even 55? And I know, a lot of people never even ask that question because they assume the answer is impossible. But when they actually sit down with a professional and run the real numbers, they're surprised. It's often more achievable than they thought. Not easy, but achievable. Here's the foundation. 3 things. They sound simple. They're not simple to do. First, spend less than you earn. Let me give you a stat that shows how badly this rule is being demolished right now. Over half of Americans earning more than $100,000 a year save nothing. Not a little, nothing, zero. And here's what people get wrong about this, right? They think the fix is earning more. It's not, because when the income goes up, the spending goes up to match. The lifestyle inflates to eat whatever comes in. The fix isn't the income line. The fix is the gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap, invested consistently over decades, is what builds retirement. No gap, no retirement. That's the math. It doesn't negotiate. Second, invest what you save, because saving without investing is just losing money in slow motion and calling it responsible. Inflation is running at 2, 3, 4% a year. Money sitting in a savings account earning 1% is shrinking in real terms every single day. The money has to be working, in the market, allocated properly, generating real returns over time. And third, and this is the one that, determines 90% of your investment success, and almost nobody knows it. It's not stock picking. It's not timing the market. It's not finding the hot sector or whatever your brother-in-law told you about at Thanksgiving. It's asset allocation. What percentage of your portfolio is in stocks, and what percentage is in bonds? That single decision determines roughly 90% of your long-term investment outcome. Let me say that again because I need it to land. 90%. People think it's about picking the right stocks. If you ask the average person, they guess maybe 60-70% of their success comes from which stocks they chose. The actual number for stock picking? About 5 to 10%. The other 90%? It's the allocation you set and the discipline to stick to it when things get ugly. And things will get ugly. Because here's the reason most people get this wrong on their own. You see, they've only lived their own one financial life. Everybody says they'll stay the course. Everybody says they won't panic. And then the market drops 30%, and suddenly staying the course feels a whole lot different than it sounded in a seminar 6 months earlier. The S&P 500 fell 60% during the 2008 financial crisis. 60. That's not a dip. That's watching your life savings get cut in half and then some. And the people who bailed near the bottom? They locked in those losses permanently. While the people who stayed the course, who had the right allocation, who had someone in their corner saying, hold on, this is what we prepared for, they captured the for recovery. Working with someone who's seen that movie multiple times, who knows how to set an allocation that matches your actual risk tolerance, not the risk tolerance you claim to have when everything is green, that's genuinely worth something. That's the edge. Now, here's the part I've been holding for you. The reframe that I think is the most powerful piece of everything we've talked about today. And honestly, this one messed with my head the first time I heard it. When you turn 60 years old, and some of you watching this are already past 60, so listen close, you have fewer than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active life ahead of you. 1,000 weeks. Say that number out loud. 1,000 weeks. That's it. That's what's left in the tank of healthy, mobile, go anywhere, do anything time. And I know, 1,000 sounds like a big number. So let me do the math for you. 1,000 weeks is less than 20 years. And that's not 20 years of being alive. That's 20 years of being healthy and active, able to move, able to travel, able to get on the floor with your grandkids and get back up again. That's the clock that matters. Not the alive clock, the living clock. Now cut it in half. 500 weeks, that's 10 years. Think about the last 10 years of your life and how fast they went. How many Christmases ago was 2016? Feels like yesterday, right? Blink and you missed it. That's 500 weeks. Gone, like they were never there. So here's the question. And I need you to be honest with yourself, because this is the one that matters more than anything else we've talked about today. When your healthy active time runs out, when the weeks hit zero and your body starts saying no to the things you always said you'd do, will you be able to look back and say you were deliberate about how you spent them? Or will you look back at you spent at a desk, working one more year for a number that was already enough, telling yourself someday, while someday was quietly becoming today and then yesterday? The data says the average American gets 13 months of healthy retirement after 65. 13 months. But you don't have to be average. That's the whole point of this conversation. You can push that number. You can stretch that window. You can fight for years that other people just hand over to bad health and fear-based financial decisions. But you have to decide, right now, not someday, right now, that you're not going to be the person who gets to the other side and says, I wish I'd done it different. You have to decide that the window matters, that the weeks are finite, that the retirement you're building isn't just a financial plan, it's a life plan. And the life part doesn't wait for the financial part to feel perfectly comfortable. This is why this community exists, not to run spreadsheets, not to debate withdrawal rates, to have the conversations that actually matter, the ones about time and health, and what you're going to do with the years you have left while you still have them. Hit subscribe if this opened up a question you hadn't been asking. Share this video with one person, just one, who is still planning around 65 as the default. They need to see these numbers. Sending them this video might be the most important thing you do for them this year. And drop a comment right now. I want to know 3 things from you. What's your honest reaction to the 66.1 stat? Does it change your timeline? And what's the one thing you're going to do differently this week, not someday, this week, because of what you just heard? Because this community learns from each other. That's how it works. Someone reading your comment right now might be the exact person who needed to hear your story to finally pull the trigger on their own. 1,000 weeks. Use them. I'll see you in the next one. Welcome to the community.